What's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel and welcome to another True Crime Sunday. Now before we get into today's True Crime Sunday, I did want to mention today's sponsor, which is Tansy. They are an Australian made company for any of our lovers of fake tan, which is what I'm currently marinating in right now. I'm currently in their Tansy sheet, which is hopefully going to stop my fake tan from going all over this white couch, which I mean, it used to be white. It's kind of cream right now, so I don't really know what I'm protecting it from, but whatever. They also have this tanning fairy dust, which is basically a powder that you put on while you're fake tanning, which will stop you from getting that like sticky kind of feeling. If you want any more information, the link will be in the description box below. And thank you so much, Tansy, for sponsoring this True Crime Sunday.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ellie.
Now, today's case is a little bit of a mystery. We haven't done a mystery case in a while now. This is a 20-year-old case. It is still unsolved, and this is the case of Jake Just. Jake went missing from Midland, Ontario in 1998 on October 30th, so that is Halloween Eve. At the time that Jake went missing, he was 6'2", Caucasian, had green eyes and blonde hair. He loved to sing, play guitar, and he was described as being very soft-hearted. He would often bring in stray animals and care for them. And at 18 years old, he was preparing to attend college. The last time that Jake was seen was at a bush party at Sunnyside Forest. He was said to have been drunkenly breaking bottles over his head, and at the time that the party was finishing, he left with one friend. This friend said that Jake went off the path and decided to cut through Sunnyside Forest. It says here that at the time he was last seen wearing an olive green and beige colored long sleeve, black DVS, running shoes, and he was carrying a black knapsack, which is a backpack, and it was the brand Jaguar. So the next night, it was Halloween, and Debbie Just, which is Jake Just's mom, would grow concerned. She had just finished handing out all of the candy to the trick-or-treaters, and it wasn't like Jake to not come home. Debbie had already called Jake's friends to see if they had seen him, and nobody had seen him since the bush party the night before. Now, this is a common misconception. A lot of people don't know that you can file a missing persons report before the 24-hour mark. I think that it's very much a movie and a TV show thing that has helped spread this misconception, saying that you have to wait 24 hours before you can report someone missing. But if there's suspicious circumstances, you can definitely report someone missing before the 24-hour mark. But Debbie didn't know that, and so she had waited the 24-hour mark to report him missing. Jake Just's disappearance has been one of Canada's biggest unsolved mysteries for missing persons cases. In 1998 through till 2000, there have been extensive searches. They've used helicopter, heat sensing technology. They got divers to go through the nearby swamps. They dragged the swamps as well. They took in sniffer dogs, they took in trackers. They did so many searches throughout Sunnyside Forest and the surrounding areas, but literally not a trace was found. Nothing was found. Not even his knapsack that he had with him that night, no shoes, which were size 11 shoes. He was a big boy. Nothing was found. At first, the original theory to this case was that maybe he happened upon quicksand. However, police have said that that's less likely, because what people usually do when they encounter quicksand is take off their clothes and remove the weight so that they have a chance to get out. If he encountered quicksand, it's more than likely that he would have removed his knapsack or removed an article of clothing, and that they would have found it by now. But they've searched the entire forest and there's nothing. Another hint that shows us that police think that foul play was involved is because it specifically says for anyone with information leading to the arrest and conviction of the people responsible for Jake's disappearance. So that leads me to believe that the police don't think that he simply fell into quicksand or that he just got lost in the forest. They think that there are individuals responsible for his disappearance. On top of that, Debbie just has said that she just wants answers and that she believes that the reason no one has come forward is because they're scared of punishment. Debbie just says that regardless of whether it was intentional or just an accident, it doesn't matter now, and she just wants to know where he is. So that leads me to believe that she also believes that it was foul play. So a lot of people believe that it's foul play. The police, Debbie, of course, you know, you don't want to just believe that your son has just gone missing, but also you don't want to believe that anything awry has gone wrong or even intentional. But over the years, Debbie has consulted with mediums, and a lot of the mediums have actually gone to Sunnyside Forest and said that Jake is no longer with us. So now the running theory, or I guess the most dominant theory with people involved in this case, is that possibly Jake was involved in a hit and run, except they didn't run, they took Jake with them. This theory is most consistent with the evidence because there is no evidence. There's no knapsack, there's no shoes, there's no article of clothing, there's no scent as well because they did bring in sniffer dogs to Sunnyside Forest. So that makes the most sense that someone accidentally or intentionally hit him with a car and then took him somewhere, either to the hospital or, you know, whatever else happened. But what we do know is that Jake has never turned up. He has never come back, and there's no trace of him. Now, if you haven't watched any of my other videos on YouTube, I do a lot of true story reads, whether they're paranormal or whether they are from Reddit's Let's Not Meet thread. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a forum where everyday people can go on and write anonymously. So in the paranormal thing, there'll be people that are writing about their experiences in a haunted house or a ghost sighting or whatever. But with Let's Not Meet, it's a very strict forum where you can only write things that have happened to you, that are plausible, that definitely did happen to you, but in terms of people that you would rather not ever have an encounter with again. Some people decide to write stories about an ex-housemate that they had, an ex-partner that they had, an ex-best friend that turned into a stalker, or even just general stalker stories. Or another running theme with Let's Not Meet is people writing about people that they've had a brief encounter with that didn't feel right or was scary to them. And there's this post. Now, mind you, Jake went missing in 1998. It's now 2020, so it's well over 20 years old. This post was posted recently, and also keep in mind that Jake Just's disappearance is one of Canada's biggest cases. It's an unsolved mystery. It's not like this is one of those cases where it's like, oh, you know, no one really talks about it. No, people talk about this case. So just keep that in mind. There's a man who posted on Let's Not Meet, and he said that at the time, this was around 2011, he says, at the time he was a cab driver in Midland, Ontario, which is where Jake just went missing. And he said that he picked up this customer, and he said, the customer was basically asking me how I got into cab driving, and I said that my partner had cheated on me, and so it was just something that he kind of fell into. Now the customer responds being like, oh, and you let him get away with it? And the cab driver slash the guy who posted this was like, what do you mean? And basically the customer replies with, I would have gotten a bunch of mates and I would have bashed the guy. Now the cab driver thought that he was just joking and kind of laughed it off, but that's when the vibe got real serious. He says that the customer was like, no, I'm serious, I've done it before. And basically this is where I'm kind of like, is the story credible or not? Because it kind of seems too specific. And like, I can't imagine a scenario where someone has actually done this and then just spilled the beans to a random cab driver over 10 years later. But anyway, apparently this customer gets real specific and says that one night before Halloween, he and a bunch of friends saw this young man, well, just being very drunk and obnoxious. And according to this customer, they followed this boy to a person's home and waited for him to go to the bathroom, and apparently snatched him from the bathroom, and then taken him down to, what do they call it in here? Dragged him down to the marsh. I don't really know what the marsh is. And basically said that they were beating him up and it turned into an accident. It's an unsolved mystery in Canada. A lot of people know about it. I just don't see the person responsible for it telling a cab driver that he is responsible for it. Another thing is that this Reddit poster put a lot of context to this case that wasn't really aligning with the facts of the case, or at least the confirmed facts of the case. He preempted his whole story by saying, oh, you know, like Jake just went missing, and on the night he went with a bunch of his friends after breaking bottles over his head, knocking on people's doors and asking for help for him to get patched up. And apparently Jake went into the bathroom, and when the people who owned the home took towels to the bathroom, he just wasn't there anymore. That story is not a story that I have ever seen the police say. I've never seen Jake Just's friends come out and say. I've never had his mum confirm it. This story is just something that the Reddit poster put in there. What we know from the confirmed facts of the case is that Jake just left the party willingly with one friend who saw Jake cut across the forest and not stay on the path. That is the last time that anyone saw him. Nobody can confirm that Jake left the party with a group of friends, that Jake went to someone's house to get cleaned up, and that he disappeared from a bathroom. This is just something that this Reddit poster has put in there. A lot of the comments on that story were people being like, why didn't you go to the police? You need to report this to the police. It's horrible that you didn't, because there's a mother out there who's still grieving. The Reddit poster just ignored all of those comments and only replied to one comment where someone said, why didn't you hand in the money to the police? Because they could have gotten fingerprints. And the person who posted the story replied being like, oh, well, I mean, this happened in 2011. I don't even think that I would even have that money anymore. So they're being quite sarcastic, and they ignored all of the comments where people were like, why haven't you gone to the police about this? It could help solve the case. So for those reasons, the reasons of being that I just don't see it being plausible that someone responsible for this is just going to tell a cab driver. Second of all, they're using a story that doesn't align with the confirmed facts of the case. And third of all, the fact that they didn't go to the police. And fourth of all, the fact that they ignored all of the people being like, you should have gone to the police. So I do think that this person was just trying to get clout on this Reddit forum. What we do know from this case is that Jake was definitely breaking bottles over his head. We don't know if there was a substantial amount of blood. We don't know if he got a concussion, if he got dizzy, if he got confused or disoriented, but we can assume that that led to, or at least contributed to, what ended up happening to him. A lot of people think that maybe he got into a fight, a tussle or something like that, and Debbie Just, again, which is Jake Just's mum, said that Jake he'd done karate for most of his life, that he had been in 2 fights prior to him going missing, and that he can handle himself in a fight. He's 6'2", he can handle himself. He's not a confrontational person. That yes, he will use his fighting skills in self-defense, but he is a softie at heart. She doesn't believe that he got into some sort of fight or that he instigated some sort of fight with someone. So that is the case of Jake Just. It's well over 20 years old. There have been no developments in this case. I really hope that the person posting on Reddit isn't just doing it for clout, and maybe they just got some facts misinterpreted, or they're just confused about the case. I really hope that they did go to the police at some point. It doesn't look like they did, which, you know, shame on them. I know that maybe some other true crime entertainers, or whatever you call us guys, have read this story and taken it as fact, but I'm very skeptical. I'm just skeptical about this Reddit post. I just don't see it being plausible. I don't see it. I think it's a footnote to the case, but I don't think it holds any weight in being any sort of plausible thing in the case. I don't think people should be talking about this Reddit post as if it's as if it adds to the case. It doesn't. It just adds to the footnotes of the history of the case, you know, if you know what I'm saying. If you have any information on this case, I really do suggest that you tell authorities about it. I know that it's such an old case. It's my opinion that it's unlikely that anyone's going to be convicted for this, but I do think that it would be cruel to withhold information, especially because Jake Just's mother is still putting things out there, trying to get coverage on this case, and she just wants answers. I think it's safe to say that it is safe to talk about the case now, because Debbie just wants answers. Like she has said right now, it doesn't matter if it was an accident or if it was intentional. She just wants to know what happened. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening to today's case. Keep Jake in your thoughts and your prayers. If you have any suggestions on any other missing persons cases, any unsolved mysteries, or any true crime Sundays that you would like me to cover, click up here. There will be a link to a video. That's where I'm taking suggestions from now on. I also want to thank today's sponsor, Tansy, for sponsoring today's True Crime Sunday. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up because it really does help. Leave a comment down below. And if you like my vibe, click subscribe because I would love to have you a part of my family, on my team. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.